All right, next on the list, we've got Kenyon Duncan with the Saurian Ancients. And Kenyon's a longtime buddy of mine, and if you know Kenyon, this list is not going to surprise you at all. So to start things off, he's got as his general a skink priest who is an adept with the path of shamanism. And he's got a Book of Arcane Mastery and the Sun Tablet. The Sun Tablet says that you can select any of the spells from your path, and you override normal spell selection rules for being an adept or an apprentice. So basically, even though he's just an adept, he can pick any of the spells from shamanism. So that's nifty. And he's got, as his BSB, a skink captain on a Tarosar. And he's got the Spirit of the Stampede to give an additional D6 impact hits to his mount. So that's going to be 2d6 impact hits. 2d6 plus 1 impact hits coming out of that Tarosar. It's strength 6.
And they're also rerollable due to their sharp horns.
That's right. Oh man, that's definitely a nasty. That's a big smasher right there. Yeah. That's kind of his big smasher. Definitely a strong unit. The Skink Priest with a Jade Staff, which gives him Healing Waters from Druidism as a bounce spell. And then he's also got the Path of Druidism. That's an apprentice. So he'll have
3 spells.
Well, I'm sorry, because he's an apprentice. So yeah, he can pick 3. There you go, yep. Another captain, and he's got the Dragon Staff, which is the Strength 3 AP0 Flaming Breath Weapon item. He's also got the Talisman of the Void to give a Channel 1. Okay, and that's another character there. Then we have yet another Skink Captain. This Skink Captain has the Egg of Quetzal, which is the Breath Weapon Strength D3 plus 2 AP1 magical attacks item. So, the character selection is quite interesting. He's got 2 cheap characters that basically just have these one-use only breath weapon items, and then a couple of cheap wizards, one of which is his general, by the way. And then the BSB is on a Tarosar, decked out. But it's skinks, guys. It's skinks.
And next on the agenda is more skinks. We have Braves with 3 Caimans in them and a Legion standard for an additional rank bonus. So he can go up to 4 ranks instead of 3.
That's a lot of skinks.
And next?
More skinks.
More skinks. We've got 19 skink Braves with the Banner of Discipline. So I'm thinking this might be a bunker, but we might be surprised.
Oh, with the Banner of Discipline? Yeah, that seems pretty likely.
All right. Next, we actually don't have more skinks. We have 8 Caiman, which are the former Croxagores.
Well, related to skinks, though. They're friends.
Sure, friends.
Definitely all in the same house.
And next we have more Caiman, another unit of 8. These are 2 big chompy blocks.
And let's just talk about Caiman for 2 seconds.
Sure.
They have got, Strength 4, Resilience 4 with a 4-up armor. That's kind of their 6-12 with their advance and march. The Resilience, or the Discipline 7. And one thing I think is really... Oh, wait, no, they're not Strength 4, they're Strength 5. And then they go to Strength 6 with the halberds that they have. And, Born Predator, making them reroll ones to hit. And they are Striders for water, for whatever it's worth, so they can be steadfast in water. So kind of a very interesting, monstrous unit with a couple of its own kind of, nifty little things. But yeah, I mean, it's got that Lizardman accent to it, Rerolling the ones to hit. Cold-blooded for those break tests. Mm-hmm. And, being, for what it's worth, being Strider in water.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big feature of this list. Then what do we have next? We've got more skinks.
Skink Hunters, 5 of them with poison javelins and shields. Hard target, skirmisher. and
Yeah,
Vanguard to start with. So
two
they're
units of
gonna
those. Yeah.
they're gonna be in your face right at the beginning.
Just blocking up movement and being annoying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next, we've got a scouting unit in the Chameleon Skinks with hard target 2 and blowpipes with poison. These were pretty much a staple back in old editions, and I'm glad to see them here.
Yeah, I mean, they seem cool. I like that they have hard target 2 and, blowpipe with the poison.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good unit to have.
And last, we have a Stygiasaur, which is essentially a level 2 caster.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it's got some spells. The Rider channels, a toxic breath weapon, for what it's worth, and it's got the Born Predator special rule.
Yeah, it's the reroll ones, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's reroll ones. Okay, sorry, I thought that was
Mhm.
something special. Never mind. Yes, of course.
But it's kind of a medium monster. It has D3 stomps.
Yeah,
And
resilience.
still causes terror for just being a large cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Resilience 5, 5 hit points, 3 up armor. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
but you're paying for it because it's a wizard, so it's expensive. But
it definitely.
not too shabby.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's fine.
But I don't think there's a single model in this list that is not related to skinks in some way.
No, this is all very skinky. The rider on the Stygiasaur is the skink. I mean, so obviously this is a themed list, and among Saurian Ancient lists, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that you could develop something more competitive. But I think that there are some assets to this list that make it competitive. For example, it's we've got access to Druidism along with some of these big monsters. When you're restoring wounds on Taurosaurs and Stygiasaurs, that's impactful for sure. And I think, that's definitely a good synergy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could also boost the toughness of the skinks
Oh yeah,
with the +3 and go up to toughness or resilience 5.
Dude, yeah. Hey, go from you could just use the shamanism, right? Get the +1 resilience, go from a 2 to a 3.
Oh
then,
wait, never mind.
You got.
You can't get the plus toughness from Druidism.
Yeah, you're just an apprentice. All you have is the regen spell.
Hey, but
See,
you can get,
I don't
a resilience
know.
3 though.
I think that you could drop the Talisman of the Void, gain 50 points there, drop 25 more points, and make that skink priest the apprentice and adept.
And then you have access to this.
You get the channel. Yeah, you save the points from the channel, throw it over there, and then suddenly you have. You still don't have access to the stone skin, but you get the big regrowth.
You get summer growth? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer growth for sure. Which is definitely nice.
But probably taking healing waters just to level 1. I guess he has to take healing waters.
He takes healing waters,
for
and
the
he also has a staff that can cast healing waters as well. So he's got 2 chances at it.
Gotcha.
To give the big skink block regen.
Regen, yeah.
Neat.
5 up or a 4 up, depending on if he's got the Oaken Throne going.
Dude, do you see what's going on here? Kenyon's like, I've got a bunch of skinks, and to protect them, I'm gonna cast healing waters, and I'm gonna have 2 casts of it. Dude, he gets off healing waters. He's like, yes, the waters, they protect me.
All right. Yeah.
Well, best
All
of luck.
Well,
That's
think
Kenyon's Saurian Ancients.
yes.
All right, next up we have Wesley's Saurian Ancients. It's a completely different type of Lizardman list. It starts off with a Koala Lord General and the Battle Standard Bearer on the same model. He takes an extra channel with Talisman of the Void, He's got a totem of Mixoatl that gives the unit he's in hard target, and then has a one-use only effect to give enemy units in contact with their unit -3 offensive skill. So it's a pretty good defensive item against shooting and combat.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an upgrade for his Quaddle Lord that is the Master of Reality. So during the magic phase, you siphon your void tokens 2-to-1 instead of 3-to-1. So he's gonna have more dice than normal, just almost all the time.
Yeah, what is it? Average somewhere between a 9 and a 10.
Yeah, 9 and 10 dice a phase. Then he's got his core all in one unit in the Saurian Warriors.
That's right. I guess Saurians only need to take 20% core, huh?
Yeah.
33 guys with a banner of speed.
33 guys, banner
Spears.
speed, spears, and serpent warriors. So they're movement 5, march 10, and they fight in an extra rank.
Yeah.
So, they
So
fight
4 ranks.
Yep.
Wow. And I thought my highborn spearmen were pretty cool with their double fight and extra ranks, but these guys kind of make them look like they missed leg day and arm day.
The only thing they're
and
missing.
every fitness day.
Yeah. The only thing they're missing is 2 attacks
support.
from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rank.
Yeah,
Monstrous support.
Monster support
gee,
would turn
well.
this list, that unit, into a demon.
Yep.
Well, gee,
Sure.
I guess them re-rolling their ones for Born Predator, I guess that's, gonna have to suffice somehow.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then
So that's a pretty scary unit, and all of
That's
his
a brick.
core into one unit, and that's not even max size.
That's a tough unit.
it is. It does need magical support, though, from the Path of Divination, because it's got some stuff that it just can't handle, mainly because of low agility value, so it gets hit first. It doesn't get to use its attacks to lower its enemy's attacks before it swings most of the time, and that
Right.
hurts it a lot.
And he's helping mitigate one of the other negatives of the unit with the banner of speed.
Yep.
Usually 4-8 is just not fast enough.
For a block like that.
Yep.
And then we've got the Temple Guard as this other big block. 25 of these guys with full command. And they have the bodyguard general, so they're probably going to put the Quaddle Lord in there, just like you do with Temple Guard. And then they're stubborn with double Lizardman leadership, and they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And interesting thing about Temple Guard always is that they're strength 6, but only AP 1.
Right. And striking at their initiative of 2,
Of
or
2.
agility.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is why the Rending Banner's on there. It makes that AP feel a lot worse when you're getting hit by it.
Yep. It really helps in some situations.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Then he's got a block of Raptors. They don't have anything. Just 6 Raptor Riders. It's just
With the banner.
Just heavy cab. Yeah, they got a banner, and they're strong when they hit something.
Yep.
Yeah,
Only
definitely.
The 2-up is their only save, though, so
Yeah, resilience 4, 2.
it's good, but it's not great for the price.
And then we got 2 units of flying pterodons.
The
These-
rocks.
they
The
dro-
rocks.
They drop rocks on things, and then they're flying chaff, which is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, don't do what I did. And thing about these things is, they drop rocks, and rocks hit and kill stuff. So if if you're playing against them, don't deploy stuff too close to them and then just lose it and then have your whole stuff panic off the board, because that would just be a terrible thing to have happen. I'm not speaking from any personal experiences or anything. I'm just saying,
Right.
Petrodon sentries, you gotta respect them. I'm just saying.
Yep.
They even have the feigned flight rule for fast cabs, so they can do all sorts of fast cab tricks.
They do, and they have Vanguard. So they Vanguard forward, then fly the 18 inches, drop rocks over top of shit, and
That's
Yeah.
Start the running away.
Next, we have 1 spearback and then 1 salamander. These are great shooting, great chaff.
And they're great combat support if you're going to win because they got swift stride, which makes them able to chase things down a little better than the Saurus or Temple Guard would.
Yeah, absolutely. To have one model in there that could potentially catch them all with swift stride, that's very valuable. I agree.
Yep.
And then we've got a Taurosaur, Engine of the Ancients version.
Yeah.
So he's doing all sorts of Lizardman stuff with the Engine of the Ancients. It lets the Quaddlelord cast through him, for one thing, because it gives him telepathic link. And then you get a 5-up Aegis against ranged attacks if you're within 6 inches of it. Yeah. And then you can replace that Aegis with either making a Path of Magic one easier to cast, say Path of Divination, for this Quaddlelord, or you can deal damage within 9 inches in your shooting phase. You just do D3 hits, flaming attacks, AP 10. They always wound on the roll of their armor save. So if they had a 2-up armor save, it always wounds on a 2+.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yep.
Natural 6 always wounds, and a natural 1 always fails, obviously. And it's a special shooting attack.
So it works really good with the minus casting value with Quaddle.
Yeah, either you do the Aegis 5+ range attack, say you're facing that against that ogre list, right?
Yep.
Or you do the casting value reduced by 1. Unless there's some like Vampire Knights that you need to shoot with your D3
there is
shots.
That, yeah.
Or like if there's like a solo character, for example, a high armor save solo character, cowboy, you might be able to just be all like...
Ooh, the hunters from the ogres.
Yeah, or the...
Because 1, it's flaming, so they don't get their region or their special save, and then AP 10, so they don't get their armor save.
Yep. Just D3 wounds. Blap.
I feel like Cody was trying to make a joke and it went right over Warner's head. Warner was like, "Well, let's figure it out. Who does have this mod?" Because you were talking about who were you talking about, Cody?
We'll get to Warner's cowboy in a bit, but yeah.
No.
Don't let your cowboy get hit by that.
No, he's always in combat.
Portals.
All right.
That's Wesley's list in a nutshell.
And a Stygiosaur. He's got a Stygiosaur as well.
Yep, so you can cast through that, right?
Just like Kenyon, same thing.
So there's a couple of extra spells if he doesn't want to use his Quaddle for something.
Yeah, spell versatility. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is one dense ass list. It's compact and powerful.
You get the Quaddle, you're probably going to win. You don't get the Quaddle, it's going to be a hard fight.
Yeah.
That's how this list works.
You can pick off all the little things, but the only thing that's going to be outside of his 2 big blocks that's worth a damn is the Raptor Riders and the Taurosaur. Oh, and the Stygiosaur. You get those 3 things, and you're got about 1,500 points.
All right. Well, that wraps up Wesley's Saurian Ancients.
All right, and next on the list, ladies and gentlemen, very special list from a very special sweetheart, none other than the Prince of Poles, Euron Shvaya, with his Undying Dynasties, usually playing Vermin Swarms. He's taken a new army under his wing here. So let's break it down. He's to start got a Nomarch General.
With the Crown of the Wizard King.
And the Crown of the Wizard King, yes. It's I'm telling you, certain people love this item. Good for them. I think it's funny. I love it. Anyway, yeah, so he's got the Crown of the Wizard King. He's also got an Alchemist's Alloy, which will give him a +1 armor at the expense of -2 offense. He's got the Death Mask of Teput, which makes enemy units in base contact suffer a -2 offensive skill. And keep in mind, the Nomarchs and Pharaohs for Undying Dynasties have the Undying Will special rule. That special rule says that the models that are joined by this character will benefit from a +2 offense and defense skill bonus, as well as +1 to aim, if it's applicable, and lethal strikes. So a really nice, combat stat line increase to any character that he's joined to. Coupled with the death mask, making an enemy unit -2 offensive skill, and then putting him to a +2. That's definitely a nice little combo there. I see what he's doing there, and he's on a chariot. So I think we probably can expect where he's going once we get a little deeper into the list.
Just before we move on, there are 6 augment spells out of the 10 lores that the Crown of the Wizard King could grab, which would then benefit the hereditary attribute from the Undying Dynasties.
Right, because
for the heal.
Right, Undying Dynasties, when they have successful augments cast, they can choose to replace the attribute with some raise value. So that's pretty nifty.
So, in general, I think that in Undying Dynasties, the Crown of the Wizard King actually makes the most sense, because you get access to different lores, different attributes that you wouldn't normally have. Is it better than another spell somewhere else? I don't know, but it's interesting.
It's cool for sure. He's got a Death Cult Hierarch, just an adept. That's his Hierophant. He's with the Book of Arcane Mastery for that +2 on the first cast. From Evocation, casting from Evocation. And he has a funny little item, 15-point item, Scroll of Desiccation. So after deployment zones are determined, at the end of the Step 6 pre-game sequence phase, you can choose a forest, water, or a field, and it becomes dangerous terrain for your opponents, and it ceases to become the terrain feature that it was. So you can make a forest, not a forest. You can make a field or water, not that. Very cool stuff, actually. It's very interesting.
Turn terrain to quicksand.
Pretty much.
I like it because, you could, if you get an unideal deployment zone. Let's say there's a big water in the middle of your deployment zone. Well, you can use it on that and make it not water, and then DT for your opponent. So you can kind of free up your own deployment, and you can also, conversely, if Wood Elves are trying to utilize forests, you can turn one of their forests into a not happy forest. So for 15 points, hey, if you've got the spare points, I love it. I think that's great.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
And then he's got a Wizard Master.
Right. Wizard Master, Path of Divination. He's got
the best magic item in this list.
Yeah, with the best magic item that pretty much Undying Dynasties have. Obviously, It's the Sacred Hourglass. So 2 dice casting rolls can be re-rolled if they're failed. But you have to re-roll both dice, obviously. So just kind of a 2 dice machine right there. I love that. It's a great item. So here's where it starts to get interesting. Okay. He's got 2 Tomb Architects on a Mutz. Mutz are the Tomb Cataphract mount. And that's all they are. They don't have any equipment whatsoever. It's just 2 Tomb Architects on a Mutz.
With their special inbuilt abilities.
Right. They give units of ensouled statues regeneration 5 at the start of the turn until their next turn. So they just grant regen, which is pretty great.
Yep. So you have to wait a turn to get rid of it, or you kill the architect and it gets rid of it.
Right. So there's those 2 of those guys. So for core, a unit of 20 skeletons, which I'm assuming is definitely going to be a wizard bunker.
And with shield.
Right. With a full command. No, just a musician, as a matter of fact.
Music.
Yeah. 2 units of skeleton scouts with nothing. Yep. But those are nifty because they have scout and vanguard. So,
Get right up in there.
Yeah. While not having feigned flight, as most cav Spice Cav would, they, can Vanguard and Scout. So they've got some utility there for sure, which is great. 130 points roadblock. I love it. And then, and then finally for core, he's got this unit of 7 chariots. And this is obviously where he's going to put his no mark, we discussed earlier. So just a big delivery system. Not only a delivery system for the character, but also a place for the character to hang out. And, he makes all of the chariots obviously just a lot better. I mean, their bow shots are going to be hitting on 4s. They have lethal strikes, offense, defense 5 when they are joined by him. Definitely a good unit. In combat, when this unit gets what it wants, it can be devastating.
For sure. For sure.
So 4 Tomb Cataphracts mounted on the Amuts, of course. Obviously, this is a place that the architects could join, or depending on what Jurand is facing, he could simply run the architects on their own. But yeah, this is a unit that they can join, and this is kind of the Undying Dynasty's monstrous cavalry option. The riders have light lances, 2 attacks, strength 4, 5 on the charge, and lethal strikes, which is nice. Actually, they have halberds, so they're always strength 5, which is great. And the Amuts, they are 3 attacks at strength 5, poison attacks, and stomps, definitely. And they have 3 up armor saves. So
and they'll have a regen with the architects as well.
Yeah, so 3 up, 5 up.
For only about 100 points a model. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And not bad.
They cause fear. Do they? I believe they do.
Yeah, they definitely do.
And then they score, and they can be resurrected. So.
Yeah. Solid unit. Very solid.
Yep.
And then finally, 2 units of 4 Tomb Reapers.
These guys are scary.
These are the scarier hitters in Euron's army. They're fly 6, 12, also move 6, 12. So no matter how you slice it, they're moving 6, 12. Discipline 10, for what it's worth, and they're autonomous. So, they're marching on their own, and if they ever have to take a march test, they're pretty good for it. Combat reforms, they're good for that as well, 4 wounds per model at resilience 5. Offense, defense 5, only a 5 up armor, but they go up to offense 6 with their paired weapons, which puts them at 4 attacks per model at agility 4, strength 5, AP 2. I mean, these guys are very, very powerful.
The Tomb Architects can also give them regen if they wanted to.
Correct.
Exactly. Yes. So, I mean, 5 up armor only, but then you give it a 5 up fortitude as well. With the 5 up resilience that they already have, these guys are really hard to take down, actually. And they
4
put out
wounds apiece as well. At resilience 5, it's tough nut.
They put out a lot of damage, and they're scary.
And that's before you start buffing them.
Yeah, then you buff them, and they have resurrected 2. So every time you buff them, you get half a thing back. So, yeah.
And swift stride.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I think very solid stuff. I think, honestly, in this list, I am most afraid of the Tomb Reapers because they fly, and just because of the fact that, they can just put out so many attacks. Strength 5, AP 2.
Really hard to chaff up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how can you, basically? I mean, you're going to have to use terrain or other units to screen for you, being really close to them, and definitely won't be easy. I mean, overall, I like it. I think it's very 2-dimensional. It's just a very combat-heavy list.
With magic
there's, the magic is there to support the combat. Shooting is really sort of only there because chariots happen to have bows. But other than that, and same with the skeleton scouts. But really, there isn't any shooting here, so.
Realistically, it's competing in 3 phases. Movement, magic, combat.
Yeah.
With, 4 combat threats. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, he forgoes shooting, but takes some really nasty combat blocks, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to stop it all.
That
So
said, if you have things that can do multiple wounds that can get around the fortitude, you could have major problems.
attention, Infernal Dwarfs players, attention!
Yes.
May the Doom
Oh.
Train please make it to the C terminal. Oh man, yeah, the shrapnel guns. Yeah, so there you have it.
Good list. I expect him to be towards the top tables.
I think he'll be on the bottom. He's going down.
He's going down this tournament.
All right, that's
you heard it here
Rude's
first.
Undying Dynasties.
And next we have Larry Sturgeon with his Undying Dynasties. And this is much different than the other one, quote unquote, in that it is a terracotta army. So they get some bonuses from that.
Basically, just +1 resilience on most models.
Mm-hmm.
A lower, basically all the raise values are just set to 1. But +1 resilience on basically every model, including the characters. And any characters that had flammable will lose it now.
Yep.
You know, because rocks don't burn.
Indeed. It's kind of a cool way to do it, but I don't know how. If it's better or worse, but it's neat. Anyway, this Pharaoh has the Godslayer weapon. Gives him an extra attack, divine, and multiple wounds 2 against anything with an Aegis.
Yeah.
And note that this does apply to conditional Aegis saves. For example, Warriors of Chaos or the Infernal Dwarves.
Yeah.
Or Bretonnians.
Or
So-
Bretonnians, yes, Aquitaine.
Or
Right.
Dwarves.
Right. So, if there was ever an opportunity for you to get an Aegis, this applies to you,
Yep.
Yes.
regardless of whether you have it at the time or not.
Correct.
And it's a great weapon. So
Yes.
he's strength 7.
Yes.
you know.
And then he's got the Jackal's Blessing for an additional 2 hit points and a Fortitude 5 up.
Now let's keep in mind that a Pharaoh has 4 HP to start, so he goes now to 6 HP, and with the +1 resilience that you gain from becoming terracotta, we're looking at 6 HP with a resilience 6.
Yep.
And a 4 up, 5 up.
I mean, you can afford to have a great weapon because you can take a few hits.
Exactly.
And when you're playing undead and you raise wounds on your characters, you're pretty much fine.
And you're giving up 2 agility to have that great weapon strike at agility 0. It's
Yeah,
So
I
you're not really
not
giving up anything.
No, it's not a big loss.
Pharaoh wasn't hitting before anything anyway, so.
Yeah. And people are going to be dissuaded from swinging at him because they can heal him, and he's got 6 HP.
Right.
I
And you
mean,
gotta be
yeah.
strength 5 to even have a good chance of wounding him. Like a
Mhm.
decent
I mean-
chance of wounding him.
Yeah, in hand to hand, you had better have something so good to knock this thing out because it's not going to go down easy. Yeah, it's going to take time. You better have a unit full of great weapons or a character with some serious weapons going on
But
there himself.
even then, if you don't kill him in 1 or 2 rounds, he can start healing him.
Yeah,
So it's going to be tough to take that guy down.
yeah, absolutely.
Then we have a Wizard Master on Cosmology,
Yeah.
which is an interesting lore for this army. It's got some augments to help the healing, and it's got some hexes, and I don't know, it's very flexible lore.
Yep.
Well, technically, for Undying Dynasties, since every spell in Cosmology, except for Fire and Ice, has an augment version,
Right.
it's essentially, if you want, it's very versatile for the Undying Dynasties because if you want, you can just cast constant amounts of augments.
Yep.
If you need that, and
Right.
conversely, they can be hexes as well, which is great.
The problem is that everything's stone, so it just all has a resurrected value of 1.
Yeah,
But
biggest drawback with terracotta, I think, for sure.
Yep. But you're not taking as many wounds because you got the bonus toughness.
Guess
And
that's the idea, right?
also have a battle standard bearer in a Tomb Harbinger that stops combat res from hurting you as much.
Right.
He's also in the chariots.
And right, and so Death Mask, which gives that -2 offense skill. So the same thing kind of like in Euron's list where, you're giving your own unit a +2, you're making them -2. It's a big swing for close combat. Very good combination.
And it gives him March, 12 inches?
Oh no, it gives them March
14.
That's right. It goes to March 14.
March 14 with Ghost Step. So this giant unit of chariots all of a sudden can move over walls, can move over, can do all sorts of things.
Can clear through a building or an impassable.
Yep.
Can Ghost Step move through your own units as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You treat your own units as impassable. So you have to clear them. You have to make it all the way through.
sure, but with movement 15, March 15,
14.
it's not that hard. 15. The chariots have the banner of speed.
Oh, do they? So then it goes to 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. My bad.
March 16. Oh, they do.
I didn't see that banner of speed. I see it now.
Movement, it's March 11 inches, I think it says on here at least. And then +4.
No, that's a
wrong.
bug though.
It is. It should be 10, 12.
It should. It's always been a bug actually in Army Builder. I don't know why that still exists after all this time. I play UD. I don't know. So, So 16-inch March Ghost Step. Talk about some shit right there for sure.
with the unkillable No Mark leading him.
Right.
No, Pharaoh. Never mind.
Pharaoh.
It's a pretty cool combination for a single unit.
Yeah, and this next model really brings a cool point. This Tomb Architect binding scroll, and we all know what Tomb Architects do. They give regeneration 5 to units with an ensouled statue.
Which every single unit is.
Yes, exactly. Which is every single unit in this army. So this model really powerful in this list because basically anything he wants to be is going to have a Fortitude 5. Chariot.
But it is only one model or one unit, right? Each turn.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the Tomb Architect's going to have a target on his butt.
Yeah, honestly, I think if he had more character points, I think we would see another Tomb Architect. But looking at the numbers here, it looks like he's about capped out on characters.
Or pretty close.
Yeah, maybe he could squeeze in another one, but I think it would be pretty difficult.
He's starting to drop magic items.
Right. But anyway, so moving on throughout the rest of the list with his core, 24 archers with a full command. He's got He's got a unit of 10 skeleton cavalry. This unit has a full command as well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he uses these.
Yeah, same. This is honestly, I think most people would agree this is a unit you don't usually see.
Beyond the minimum size.
Yeah, usually when it comes to Undying Dynasty's cavalry, you're going to see the scout cavalry for chaff. It's not common that you'll see the actual medium cavalry in some sort of combat purpose. But he's got a unit of 10, so I think that kind of says he's trying to fight with him.
If they're buffed up, they're terrifying, honestly, with all the buffs you can throw on them. But other than that, they're not scary.
They're not that expensive either. They're 280 points for 10 guys. Kingdoms of Equitaine pay about that for 6.
Yep.
5 to 6.
Yeah.
But I've got the 2-up armor save and the 5-up Aegis from the Blessing.
Details. Next, we've got the charioteers filling out the rest of core.
Yep. 6 chariots.
As like everything else, we've got the ensouled stone.
Yeah.
And as John said, the banner of speed. So March 16.
Oof.
Is that movement?
Should be movement 9, March 16.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so they're charging on a 9 now. I guess the 2 characters go in here. Probably, yeah. And this is just this chariot unit now is absolute you do not want to fight this. If Larry gets the charge he wants with this unit, it's gonna be painful.
Yep.
So it's 1,000 points of characters with 775 points worth of chariots in
Yep.
that
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah, it's like 40%
It's just
of the
about
army,
as mean as you can make that unit.
pretty much.
But that's most of his army between magic characters and that one unit.
He
And
does
then we've
have
got
some fun stuff with the Sphinxes coming up.
yes. So we've got one Battle Sphinx, one Dread Sphinx, and then 2 Sand Scorpions, and that's
Yeah.
the rest of the army.
Right.
So
Those, what are they? Resilience 8?
yeah,
Yeah, so the 2
Sphinxes?
Resilience 8, yeah, one of them which is better against towering targets because it has a multi-wound effect against them.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-wounds D3 against towering.
yep,
Battle Sphinx has got a breath weapon and definitely a little bit better for probably smashing up with infantry.
It also has a little bit of lethal strike going on with the riders of the Battle Sphinx.
Yeah, the riders have 2 attacks each. You're getting 8 rider attacks with on the charge, strength 5, otherwise strength 4, but lethal strike either way, so a little bit of lethal strike action, correct, for sure. And then, 2 Sand Scorpions. Sand Scorpions, I think, honestly, for 160 points, you're getting a 4 HP, resilience 5. It has lethal strikes and poison attacks at, strength 5 AP2. And it's a underground ambusher, unless I'm mistaken, or whatever they call it nowadays.
yep.
So
It
doesn't list it. I don't know if you have to indicate that before.
That's because when you're playing Terracotta, you
They can't?
forego burrowing. That's right. You can still take this unit, but you can't burrow with it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I prefer not to burrow.
I think burrowing is one of the strongest mechanics Undying Dynasties can bring to the table, to be honest. I loved using it when I was playing UD, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, even without the burrow, I think it's good.
Yeah,
They're
I mean they're
useful to have.
pretty damn good chaff. 160 points for 4 resilience 5 hit points. It's
honestly, a lot of stuff, it'd be really hard pressed to take this out,
Mhm.
most other chaff loses to this for sure. Except
the lethal strike poison attack combo is kind of strange. Like if you roll a 6 to hit,
Yes.
you can't lethal it
right.
because
Yeah.
it's already poisoned.
yeah, I don't really like units that do that.
It's been in the game for a long time, and it's kind of weird.
I think it's to represent getting hit with the claws or getting hit with the tail, kind of thing for these guys. But
Yeah, for sure.
I'll
I'd rather
justify
have
it
one or
however
the other.
I'll justify it however I want.
Sure. All right. So, any other thoughts?
Once again, multi-wound stuff is good against this list, like it is a lot of the lists here actually. So
Yeah, if you're playing ogres, watch out for this guy because he's gonna rip you a new one. Between the Dread Sphinx and the Pharaoh here, and then all this other stuff, it's just it's another dense list that
Yep, very.
is just
It's gonna be hard to get points out of as well.
significant
And again,
points, yeah.
this list does not compete in the shooting phase, and it hardly competes in the magic phase. Only as much as it needs to support its army, but really, it's just very combat centric.
It's buff spells, not aggressive spells.
I forgot about the 24 archers. I guess he's got 24 archers, but really,
Minimal.
that's
They're-
pretty much
They're not buffed by +1 aim, I don't think, anywhere. Can you do that out of cosmology? I'm not sure.
You can actually, yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the throwing weapon skill, isn't it? You can decide to do aim instead.
So in terms of cosmology for that number 1 spell, you get +1 to your aim, and Undying Dynasties always hit on their aim, so it will improve your shots with Undying Dynasties if you use Altered Sight. So there is that, but I mean it's strength 3, pretty minimal shooting phase. But anyway, very combat centric. I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see Larry and those guys again too. They're fun to play against.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Undying Will increases their aim.
From the Pharaoh.
It goes to a 4-up instead of the 5.
And so that'll be on the chariots, right? Because
For their few shots.
2 per. That's 12 shots, whatever.
Hey, man, 12 shots could go up to a 3 with Altered Sight, man.
12 shots hitting on 3s? Okay.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Sounds like my Queen's Guard. Can't wait to say that a lot this weekend coming up. 12 shots hitting on 3s. Mwah.
All right, that's Larry Sturgeon's Undying Dynasties.
All right.
David Otero with Vampire Counts. He's going undead again.
Oh, man.
All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's got a vampire with Lamia. Which pushes his attacks down to 4, but he gains lightning reflexes, so it probably winds up being the same number of hits. Steps sideways. Enemy units in base with this vampire suffer -1 agility. Then, because he doesn't have any armor besides light armor, he gains distracting as well. And then you have to accept duels when this character issues them, either by a champion or by a character. And then enemy models without harnessed inside the duel with the vampire suffer -1 attack. So you're at -1 agility, -1 to hit, and -1 attack.
Yeah, this is
You're
like
fighting this guy in a duel.
it's like some perverted elven undead thing going on here.
Yeah. He has commandment, which makes his unit weapon skills set to 6.
Offense, defense, yeah, 6.
Yep. He has 4-up armor save, 4-up ward save, and he's a wizard master on witchcraft. And he is mounted on a skeletal steed. So to gain that 4-up ward, he's losing a few pips of armor. But he doesn't have heavy armor anyway. So
It works out.
yeah.
And then he's got True Thirst for a weapon. And this weapon resurrects models in the unit for every 1 saved wound that the vampire does.
And his vampiric is set to 3. So when he does a wound, he can heal a wound on a 3+ at the end of the round. It's an overall pretty damn good guy to have, and he's going to be a pain in the ass to try to kill.
There's a reason this vampire's 900 points. Not even on a dragon or anything. 900 points on a horse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the horse is 70.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so next. We
Very
have
good. Yeah, very stacked
ahead.
character.
Yeah. Next, we have another wizard master, Necromancer on alchemy. So he's got the buffs and debuffs from witchcraft and the killy stuff from alchemy against stuff that he can't deal with otherwise.
Path of Alchemy. I didn't know vampires could take alchemy. What the
Yeah,
heck?
I didn't know that either, but
Huh.
he also has the necromantic staff for an additional bound spell.
Okay.
And he has a 2-up armor save with the essence of mithril.
Okay. So we can be comfortable putting him in a combat infantry unit. Maybe
Yeah.
the ghouls.
Yeah, it just means that you can't send random chaff to go try to kill him.
Yeah.
Right.
2-up armor save on a 3 hit point model is hard
enough.
for like a Great Eagle to go get, something like
Yep.
that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. It's also you can heal him, so even if
Yeah.
you do wind up doing a few wounds over the course of the game, you'll heal those back.
Yeah, no, he's set.
Next, we've got a Barrow King, also on a skeletal steed, and
I
one
really
up.
like this model.
He has a 2-up in combat, a 1-up versus shooting, and then a 5-up Aegis,
Yeah.
and then a 3-up Aegis versus flaming.
Yeah, this is the BSB
Yep.
as well. So he's on a steed. So, him and the vampire and the Barrow Knights, I think we all know. I think we can all see what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And he brings the flaming standard as well. So
Nice.
between Path of Alchemy and the Flaming Standard, and then the unit that those two guys are going to be in, it's going to be a very killy unit.
Yeah, so it's just shy of 2,200 points between the knights and those two characters. That's about half the army. Literally
And
half the army's value in this one unit here.
Yep.
Wowee.
All right.
Okay.
So, core, we've got a unit of 5 bat swarms.
Yeah.
They are going to have a ton of attacks.
Yep, just a nuisance unit and
yeah.
really resable as well.
Yeah. What
Four-
is that?
four?
20 wounds, but only resilience 4 or 2.
Resilience 2, no saves.
Hard
But-
target distracting. What the frick?
-1, -1, no matter what you're trying to do to them. And they also have the Storm of Wings. You want to figure out what that does?
What is that?
All right, I'll go look it up.
We'll get back to you on that, guys, but that's all right. Something OP, no doubt.
Can't be that bad. Enemy units in base contact with one or more models with Storm of Wings suffer -1 offensive and defensive skill.
What did I say? Game breaking.
Nuisance.
Nuisance. Absolutely.
It makes the Barrow, if they're in the same comp with the Barrow Knights, it makes the Barrow Knights offensive skill 3 feel a lot better. Because
Yeah, I mean, these guys are also only
Uh,
10 points per wound.
Sorry, guys.
Um,
You mean the Barrow Knight's offensive skill of 6?
6.
Because of the vampire's commandment?
Oh yeah, offensive skill 6 +1 to
Yeah.
hit. I forgot about that part.
So
Yeah.
now you dropped them down from a 3 to a 2.
And you
They're
hit 'em on
hitting on-
2s.
3s or 2s almost all the time.
Oh, does 2 to 6? You still need only a 4, huh?
No, 2 to 6 you need a 5.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So yeah, you drop 3s to 2s. Yeah, this could be really good.
Yeah. It makes them hit. Well, they get +1 to hit anyway, so they're probably hitting on 2s all the time
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
because of the black standard of Zagvozd.
On the Barrow Knights.
Yeah, that's right. So his Barrow Knights are that's awesome actually. His knights are so pretty
Yeah,
powerful.
and I mean,
That's a small
even
unit.
if you charge them, they still have a 2+ armor save, strength 4, lethal strike, multiple wounds 2 against anything with standard size. It's doesn't have a ton of wounds, but
Right.
with
with resurrect and the armor save, I
And
don't
the
see that
truth-
unit going away.
And True Thirst
Yep.
from the Lamia.
If you let this unit get into combat and start healing, you have to obliterate this from range.
But
Yeah,
then it gets into combat and then it heals to full.
Exactly. You cannot. If you let this get into combat, it might honestly be. Honestly, it's like you have to be sure you can knock this out. Otherwise, you just avoid it completely.
Yeah, so
But it's half his army. So it's like if you just leave it alone,
You
you
get
can't
no.
get it's almost impossible to get a 20 to nothing.
Yeah, really.
so
you have to.
You're
be
going
discreet.
after small victories at the best, realistically.
Yeah. He's still got
If you
3 decent
do
blocks,
kill this,
too.
then more power to you.
He's got 3 blocks of infantry that he's constantly rezzing with his necromantic staff and
hmm
stuff. With
So he's got a
ghouls,
unit of
zombies.
30 ghouls with a champion,
Yep.
35 zombies,
with
and
position
35
standard.
more zombies.
Yeah, these are his main just scoring, get in the way units.
Yeah, yeah.
They're pretty fun.
Then he's got the Barrow Knights, which we talked about. He's got 13 of those full command. I don't know what else we can say. Those guys are awesome.
They're amazing.
2 Great Bats.
Yep.
Fairly cheap chaff.
Flying Chaff, 90 points. They
Yep.
even have hard target because he brought 2 of them instead of just 1.
It's worth.
Makes
Uh,
it hard to shoot.
7 Wraiths.
Yeah, I saw these guys. I was a
Oh.
little bit.
These guys are weird, man.
These are the AP guys. So they have 2 attacks each. Great weapons, so strength 5. But they have AP 10.
Yeah, no armor save against them.
Right.
And they're
Look.
pseudo ethereal.
Yeah, with the way they have the magical stuff working against them. They've got sweeping attacks, so they move through enemy units and do damage, which is kind of neat. But they have resilience 3, 1 hit point, no armor. They have a 3-up Aegis against non-magical stuff and a 5-up Aegis against magical stuff. So you hit them with any kind of magic missile and they melt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just because of what I specifically have in my list, but I look at these wraiths and I'm like,
Yeah, your Queen's Guard will kill them in 1 round of shooting.
well, the Queen's Guard, and then divination magic missiles are just like, oh yeah, here we'll just take that off. Yeah, there you go. Ridiculous. Yeah, okay, but fair enough. And then five vampire knights. Oh, sorry, go on, Warner.
So going back to that unit of wraiths, they have sweeping attacks. Enemy unit suffers 1 hit at strength 5, AP 10 magical attacks for each model with the Reaper in the unit.
Right, so they auto hit when they walk. One model does an auto hit. There you go.
Yeah, that's
pretty
so
good.
Instead of getting 2 attacks,
One
they have
1
1
hit per model, so he's got 8 of them, right?
7, yeah.
So that's 7, strength 5, AP 10 auto hits.
I mean, that's really fucking good.
So yeah,
Really
so
is.
just that by itself can start deleting smaller knight units.
Yeah, like knights or anything like that would just be killed by the wraiths.
Grail Knights
horribly.
are just gone.
It's not super fast with a 612.
Yeah, it still has ghost
That
step,
said, it could move, sweeping attack you, and then move with witchcraft
What would happen if you
and
witchcrafted?
sweeping attack you again.
Yeah, you can witchcraft sweeping attack the things. That's
Yes.
And then-
FAQ'd.
Would you do both?
Yeah, you sweeping attack both times,
Both during your movement phase and during your magic phase, yeah.
which is horrendous.
Yeah,
So-
so it's got the 3-up Aegis save. So they will slowly go down to massed shooting, but
Scary unit in the right circumstance.
yep,
That's why you give Bretonnian archers braziers.
yeah. And then last is the 5 vampire knights. These guys have 2 hit points apiece, which is pretty cool. 2-up armor, 2 attacks, strength 7 on the charge, AP 4.
Yeah.
And he's got a flaming standard on them to combo with the alchemy.
Right. Yeah, this is a terrifying unit for just 5 models. These guys will blow things absolutely out of the water. Gotta absolutely do what you can to take them off the board as soon as possible.
It's 10
They
wounds
are-
for 500 points if you can do them.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what's
wor- it-
really good at killing vampire knights?
Alchemy,
Wraiths.
indeed.
Yeah, wraiths, surely.
It's a vampire off. Now, I'm sure that's going to happen more than once because there are 4 vampire counts armies in this tournament,
And there's a lot of vampire knights too, and I think there's at least 2 units
Yes.
of wraiths.
and quite a few units of vampire knights.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a pretty scary army. It's got
Yeah, definitely.
1 unit heavily loaded.
The Death
Oh, yeah.
Star to end all Death
Uh,
Stars almost.
And I mean, just
Oh,
if
yeah.
those other units are going to be hard to take off with just the amount of rezzing that can be pushed out. It'll be interesting.
No, I think it's a power heavy list for sure, and it's basically you have to if you can't take on the big unit, then you have to either go for a small win or a draw or a small loss.
And you're going to have to be feeding stuff to that big unit if you can't deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
But
like
I
it's on
mean-
foot. It's fast enough to get to you.
And it's big enough that even if you're able to ping guys off, like let's say 3 a turn, then you have to stop all the rezzing on it.
You have to do
Otherwise, you're never going to get through it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's basically
I'm
shooting
not,
is
I'm not saying it's impossible to get rid of it, but good luck.
shooting is just so much weaker against this any undead list than usual. You know.
All right, well, it's
Yeah.
David Otero's Vampire.
So we have James Starr's Vampire Counts, Vampire Covenant. It is, in my opinion, the most interesting of the lists because he's bringing something out of left field. We've got the Vampire Count on a colossal zombie dragon. That is a massive 100 by 150 base.
My God.
So yeah, this is going to be a massive piece on the battlefield. I'm really hoping. Yeah, exactly. I'm really hoping that he's bringing something special for that model. Getting onto it, he's a wizard master with a great weapon. So he's going down to agility 0. He's Nosferu, so he is a spellcaster as well. So it's just kind of a weird combination. In addition to that, he has the necromantic staff, and as a wizard master, he is on cosmology. So I believe he knows 7 spells.
This guy is a chunk of points at 1,240 points.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a lot of points. I mean, this is more than most greater demons. And the vampire itself is essentially more wizardly than combat-y, so it's a very expensive wizard monster.
Yes.
For vampires here.
One thing that he does also have is blood magic, though, which he can reduce the casting values of a specific lore before the game.
Right. This is like a wizard all-in for vampires.
Yes. And it's weird because he's on a zombie dragon instead of in a bunker, but I think it's really cool.
He's going all out. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. All right, and then number 2 wizard. He is also a vampire wizard master with Nosferu and arcane knowledge for a little bit of extra range. And then he's got the Destiny's Call for the 4-up, and Path of Occultism.
Yeah. All right,
so those keeping track, he has 12 spells with those 2 characters.
He's got some options. That's good. Magical versatility. Maybe maybe a little overkill, but it's good to have the options.
Yep. All right, on to core.
Yeah. We've got 30 ghouls. Ghouls, they're easy to heal. They got resilience 4 and poison attacks, 2 attacks each. It's just a block unit that wants to see some action at some point. We've got a unit of 24 skeletons. Kind of the same idea. They got light armor shields. They got parry. And they're just skeletons with the Legion standard. So if they keep healing, they'll have +4 combat res from ranks.
And about the ghouls, important note is that this unit cannot increase its starting size. So they're stuck at 30. Mm-hmm. Unlike the skeletons and zombies, which can keep going, the ghouls, they're set at 30.
Next, he's got 2 units of dire wolves. Just core chaff.
Units
What's
of
not
8.
To love?
Does he need to have 8, or could he have them as small as 5?
I don't know, but he's got champions in him too, so that's kind of takes off from lone characters charging him and wiping him out in one hit.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting.
Definitely helps for having a giant monster general.
So they are 8 so that they count towards core. They're a special unit, and once they get to 8 or more, then they count as core. So that's why he's got 8.
Okay, there you go.
What else does he have? He's got Bat Swarm, just 2 bases worth.
Yep, speed bump.
Yeah, and they're also distracting and heal really easily if they're into something weak.
And Storms of the Wings and all this other stuff, but if you charge them into a unit that's already in combat, resilience 2.
Yeah, they're going to explode pretty good.
Yeah.
It's 100 points, 105 points, so that's fine.
Pretty good for 100 points, actually.
Yeah.
Next, we got the unit of Barrow Guard. Only 15 of them, though, so it's kind of weird. They're going hand, weapon, shield, and he does not have this is kind of a weird thing. You don't benefit from the bodyguard on the barrow guard because the general's on the dragon and the other vampire, even though he could be the general, isn't. So it's kind of a weird combination.
So they're going to have a hard time being stubborn.
Yep.
He's just taking the barrow guard for the sake of the barrow guard, I guess. He says to himself, I want this unit because I believe that 15 of these guys it's going to help me beyond not just this. It's not the stubborn he's looking for. He's looking for them to assist in, various combats, I would assume.
Yeah, get lethal strike in good spots, that kind of thing.
Yeah, some kind of a flanking unit, Obviously not. I don't think he's trying to bring 15 barrow guard for a speed bump, right? I mean.
Yep.
Very interesting. Yeah.
It's a place to put it it's a pretty scary bunker to go in to try to get his second wizard, maybe. Too.
Yeah. Okay. For sure. But then again, 15 models, with instability as it works. I wouldn't be too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of units I would see charging that and just coming on top. For sure. But yeah, maybe. Well, definitely interesting to see. I'll be interested to see how he uses these units.
And then we get into his spectral part of his list. He's got spectral hunters on 8 of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with a champion that gives him the Wizard Conclave. So you can do Raven's Wing, Whispers of the Veil, or Perception of Strength. Pick 2 of those. That brings us up
14
to
spells.
14 spells. And these guys are kind of scary. As long as you're using non-magical stuff against them, they'll live pretty well because they got a 3-up Aegis. But as soon as you hit them with magical stuff, their protection goes away.
And it goes to a 5-up.
That's true. 5-up Aegis.
A lot less, yeah.
Then we have the next spectral unit, 8 Wraiths. Who are just slightly different than the Spectral Hunters, but they also have the champion for the Wizard Adept. They get 2 spells out of Raven's Wing, Deceptive Glamour, or Hasten the Hour. So that pushes it up to 16 spells.
A lot of spells. This guy has crazy options.
Yeah.
It also has, Channel 4 on here? Maybe Channel 5? No, Channel 4 because they're...
4. Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5 necromantic staff.
Yeah, the staff gives you 1 more. So Channel 5 is a lot of channels.
Yes.
To be able to.
So he'll get
quite
a few extra dice.
He's channel flexing.
With the minus casting value either on cosmology or occultism from the blood magic.
Oh yeah, he's got it made.
It's gonna be hard to stop everything in that. It's during that magic phase. But he's never going to be able to cast all of his spells in one turn. Physically impossible.
1 dice per spell, still don't have enough.
Yep. Okay, that said, if you used 1 dice and roll 1s, you could attempt all your spells. But anyway.
Risky maneuver.
Then last we have 5 Vampire Knights.
Yeah.
To round out the list.
It's another counterpunching unit for sure.
Musician standard, no champion, but that's fine. 5, Vampire Knights. I think they're, it's a scary unit. Gotta watch out.
Yeah, overall...
It's an interesting list.
I'm excited to see it on the table. I want to see that dragon.
I don't know how it's going to do, though.
I think
of the 4 vampire lists, I want to see this one on the table the most, but I think it's probably the weakest.
I think this one is really... Honestly, I used to play demons. I don't play demons anymore, and demons in general, the reason I started playing demons was because I loved the idea of having a giant monster general. And this is what this guy's doing. He's got a giant monster general who's his wizard. Sort of, the apex of power, if you will, sort of idea. But, it's just, I think this is very vulnerable to certain shooting lists. And there are going to be some matchups where you're just going to be forced to hide your character behind a hill. And
All
yes,
game.
yeah, exactly. And he can cast magic from behind the hill. That's true. So yes, he's not completely useless, but honestly, I think you're giving up a lot when you put a character like this on a monster. Boy, it would be great if you could just take a zombie dragon without a character, But I don't know. For me, I'm feeling like I don't like it just because I've played demons before, and I'm worried about this guy having his general shot off the table.
All right,
Valid worry.
Rounds up James Starr's Vampire Covenant. All right, next up we have Thomas Moulton's Vampire Counts as well. He's got 2 big vampires. They're both Wizard Apprentices on Von Karstein Bloodline. They get +1 to combat res when they're fighting in a combat. They get extra range for commanding presence and rally around the flag. So I guess with these guys it only matters their commanding presence is 18 inches. The general has Hour of the Wolf, which gives his unit Swift Stride, and he can bring zombies, direwolves, bat swarms, and great bats above their starting value. He's got Supernatural Dexterity for his paired weapon enchantment. Gives him 6 attacks at offensive strength 10. Offensive 10, strength 5, AP 2, agility 9.
Right.
So that guy's going first and hitting a lot. He gets a 4-up from Legend of the Black King armor, and he gets the Knight Crown, which is an interesting defensive item. It stops weapons that have +X to strength from getting that +X. So halberds don't give strength, great weapons don't give strength, lances don't give strength, etc., etc.
In addition, he can never be wounded on better than a 4.
Yeah.
They're just yeah.
He is tough as nails for a Von Karstein vampire, actually.
Yeah, so no strength bonus, and you can't be wounded on better than a 4. I don't know, it's kind of doing the same thing, but meh.
Resilience 5 with 3 hit points, but he rerolls his vampiric, so he's got a better chance to heal himself naturally instead of having to use a spell. He's on the path of evocation as well.
But as an apprentice, it's kind of weird because is he really on path of evocation, or is he switching his one spell to the hereditary?
He's probably switching to hereditary most of the time. He's just giving himself options to take the number 1 spell of these 2 different lores. Then there's the second vampire count. He's also a Von Karstein with all the associated things. He has Unbreakable Will, which allows any unit he joins or a unit that is engaged in the same combat as him to be stubborn until the end of the melee phase that he starts it. So he can throw stubborn on a unit next to him that's also fighting with him, or he can throw stubborn on his own unit. He's armed with True Thirst, which allows him to heal the unit that he's in just by causing unsaved wounds in combat. He's got a 4/4 from Destiny's Call, and he's also sporting the Rod of Battle for another spell. And he is on the path of occultism.
But is he?
But is he? Right. Yep. And then to round out the characters, he's got a Barrow King Battle Standard Bearer with Hero's Heart, Essence of Mithril, and the Obsidian Rock. So he's got 4 HP, Resilience 5 with a 2-up save.
Yeah. This is just a combat. This is a plethora of combat characters.
Mm-hmm. And he gives the unit he's in MR2 as well, so he's probably going to go in the Barrel Guard and give the whole unit MR2 along with both vampires, is my guess.
Yeah, the vampires could join some of the skeleton units, but we'll see. I don't know.
For core, he's got a big old unit of skeleton halberdiers. So they're strength 4, AP 1, for whatever that's worth. And there's 50 of them. So that is a chunk of a unit.
think it's worth quite a lot, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think so too. And he's got a smaller unit of skeleton halberdiers at 35 strong. So that's, what, 85 skeletons on the board to start with? That's a lot of models to chop through.
Right. A lot of the time you see those big units, but they're usually zombies.
Yep. And then 2 units of 2 bat swarms fill out the rest of his core, just as 100-point speed bump flying chaff. I mean, that's not terrible. It's pretty good. For special, he's got the barrel guard, as we mentioned earlier, and they've got the black standard, which makes them get +1 to hit. The other vampire also can give them +1 to hit with the rod of battle. So these guys could be hitting with +2 to hit, which is kind of scary when they've got lethal strike to back up their wounds. They are only armed with a hand weapon shield, so they get parry and a 4-up armor.
Yep.
Ah, so no strength 6. Okay, so definitely a little bit more of a moderate, you know.
You still got the lethal strike to back up that stuff, so.
I guess he's really kind of relying more on the characters to do more of that damage.
Right.
And the Borrow Guard are really more of a vessel for those characters to get where they want to be.
And they've got Swift Stride, so you have to be careful on their charge ranges.
Yeah, that's true. Giving Swift Stride to Borrow Guard makes, Ralph, it's a little bit of a scary thing there.
It helps speed them out without the Relentless Company or the Speed Banner.
Then we've got Spectral Hunters again. These ones are not Wizard Conclave, but they do have the sweeping attack movement stuff that they get to do.
Right. Passing through a unit, doing a single strength 5, AP 10 hit.
These guys have sweeping
per
attack?
model. Yeah, the Spectral Hunters, as well as the Reapers, I believe they...
I don't believe these are the right ones.
No, these are different ones.
These are great weapon guys. So they're the AP 10 ones.
Yeah, okay. Wrong ghosts. These ones are the ones on horses with the AP 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wrong ghost.
Well, back in the day, they used to do that. God. All right, John's wrong again.
It's interesting. They have flaming attacks. I didn't actually know that. So.
Trolls beware.
Yeah.
Trolls and trees beware.
Break out the 2-up against flaming.
Yeah.
Saves this unit too.
And then at the end of the deal, at the end of the list here, we've got 2 units of Vampire Knights.
Yeah, just 2 units of 5 each.
Yeah, 2 units of 5. So we're looking at 20 wounds of Vampire Knight saucy goodness, and I've got to say, I'm not too thrilled about that. That's a scary thing. I think Vampire Knights are a scary freaking unit. You got 2 units of 5. Those are some very threatening ballistic missiles. Very scary.
Yeah, overall, I really like this list, the way it uses the synergy of the characters to pump up the Barrel Guard.
Yeah.
And then you've got some flexibility with the Vampire Knights and the Chaff. It is a little low on the magic. Like, it only has, 3 spells? 4 spells?
Yeah. Well, that's true. And yeah, it is a little slow as well, I suppose, being infantry with the characters. But honestly, if you come into this player's House of Pain, it's going to be very bad, you know? There's a lot of safety and security here, you know? You're not going to be able to... It's going to be very hard for an opponent to just kind of come in on their terms and do what they need to do against this unit, because these 2 vampires with the Barrow Guard, I mean, it's hard to displace this unit.
Yes. One of the weaknesses that we've noticed is that the skeletons cannot go up in size from their starting values.
Well, why is that?
He cannot raise skeletons above. He has awaken zombies, direwolves, bat swarms, and great bats on his general, and only vampires on his smaller
zombies.
Yeah. So, and he has no zombies.
So he can't raise skeletons beyond their starting size.
Correct.
Wow.
So you might be able to grab those points from core without an extreme amount of difficulty. I mean,
It's still 50
he
skeletons.
he can still throw the stubborn, right?
Yeah.
So it may be difficult to do. He's also got the battle standard bearer, which has its own negative crumble effects. But these skeletons will be easier to remove from the table than in any of the other armies.
All right. Well, that rounds out Thomas Moulton's Vampire Covenant.
All right. Next on the list, we have Omer Karat, who's a Vermin Swarm player, and he is bringing something that you do not usually see with Vermin Swarms. He's got a Vermin Demon as his general. The Vermin Demon's using Path of Divination. And for those of you who do not know much about Vermin Demons, it's essentially
Which is
HP6.
basically everybody.
Right. You never see these, but Resilient 6 with a 6 wounds, and it's got a 5-up armor and a 5-up ward save and a 4-up ward save against magical attacks. But other than that, it's your typical monster. It causes terror. It is a demon, so it's supernal. It follows the rules for other demons, which is that, if you fail your break test, you will crumble that many wounds that you lost by. So you got to be careful with that. But a Vermin Demon on Path of Divination. Very cool stuff. I mean, he's got a good stat line generally. Just got a very, you just never see this kind of stuff, I love it, though. I'm in love. But then the next two characters are equally strange. You've got two chiefs here on Monstrous Rats, the both of them. One of them is the Battle Standard Bearer. He has the Alchemist's Alloy, which gives him, the +1 armor at a consequence of -2 offense skill. He's got a Binding Scroll. He's got the Dragon Staff for that Strength 3 breath weapon. And Monstrous Rats grant breath weapon. There, you get a toxic attack breath weapon just from having the Monstrous Rat. And you also get a Fortitude save, which is really cool for for a mount option for a character being able to get a Fortitude save. Pretty cool stuff. Resilience 5, 4 wounds, and with the 4-up Fortitude and some armor from the characters, looks like this one's got a 3-up, and then the next one's got a 4-up. Definitely good stuff. But moving on to the next chief.
Yeah, one other thing, the BSB has a great weapon as well. So his 3-up armor goes to a 4-up in combat.
Okay.
But strength 6.
So he's strength 6 then in close combat. That's great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That explains that then. And the other chief, he's got the Hero's Heart, which gives him +1 attack, and he's always going to be striking at strength 5 AP3. As we know, and it's a paired weapon, so he's gonna have a total of.
He also has a tail weapon, so he has 6 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at that. A total of 6 attacks. That's pretty awesome. And then this is a guy with a Ghostly Guard, so he's got a 4-up normally for armor, but then against non-magical attacks, he goes up to a 2-up. So he's got a 2-up, 4-up against most mundane troops. 2-up, 4-up. When you're talking about Vermin Swarms, this is stuff you never, these words 2-up, 4-up, and Vermin Swarms, they don't go together. Doesn't make any sense. But wow, it's really cool. I think it's awesome.
So 6 strength 5 AP3 attacks at initiative or agility 6.
For Vermin.
Just don't put him into magical flaming attacks.
Right. Yeah. That would be the crux. Going through core, he's got 3 units of 10 foot pads. One of them has Vanguard. The other ones do not. The other 2 do not. But either way, it's they've got slings and musicians, all of them. He's got 2 units of 20 giant rats, actually. Giant rats are pretty good. Move 7, 14 for their march. He's got Swift Stride. Fighting extra ranks at base. For 140 points for 20 of them, it's definitely a great unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 20 Vermin Guard. That's the elite, the cream of the crop Skaven combat troops there. Yeah. With their heavy armor and their halberds. Yep. He's got a unit of 20 of them with the Lightning Rod. The Lightning Rod is to make... -1 for all shooting, in a phase as well. No, so that all friendly units gain hard target as well as no flying movement may take place during this phase as well. So if you've got flyers, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take a back seat for a turn.
I like
the demon list with those little bloat flies. They're like movement 2 on the ground.
Right, eagles, Undying Dynasties, vultures, you know, the screamers or whatever they're called nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
The sky serpents, they are quite slow when they don't fly.
when they can't fly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I like the Plague Disciples personally. I know some people think they're easy to kill, but they hit really hard for what they do.
10 Plague Disciples here, yeah.
It's kind of strange.
But they
got Plague Flails.
I mean, throw them into the side of a monster and they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It's a small unit that hits hard, that can fit into tight places.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to keep them alive if they get focused by anything.
I mean, they're fairly cheap too at just over 200 points, so it's a tool for the toolbox.
Yep. That's this list in a nutshell. There's the tool for the toolbox. There's a lot of tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, past the so those 10 Plague Disciples, he's also got a unit of 6 Vermin Hulks here. And those are, but from what I'm looking at here, it doesn't look like Vermin Hulks are the.
They're just red ogres.
Oh, these are just red ogres. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They don't have the guns.
Thunder. I'm thinking Thunder Hulks. That's right. Sorry. So just six red ogres essentially. Yeah, 6 Vermin Hulks. They don't have saves really, but they've got some attack output. Yeah, you never. I mean, this Skaven list is super refreshing. And unique because you never see this kind of stuff.
The Vermin Hulks survive on their resilience 5.
Right.
They've only got a 6 up armor, so basically nothing. But they're pretty offensive with 3 attacks, strength 5, AP 2 with battle focus.
Yes.
And they also have the Swift Reform rule without needing to take a musician, so you have to be careful with them as well. It's very maneuverable.
And what does the Callus rule do, Cody?
That's they don't care about other units that are in. It's the shooting into combat rule is what Callus does. I forget how it's worded these days. I would have to look it up.
You can shoot into combat with the Vermin Hulks.
Yes, that's what it is, but it's kind of weird because they don't have a shooting attack.
Yeah, it's just. You can also use the hereditary spell on them too.
There are experienced Vermin Swarms players out there listening to this right now that are their heads are blowing up right
because they're probably getting everything wrong. But
listening to us try to figure this out, they're like, "No, you idiots! That's not how it works."
Yeah, basically, it's just a shooting into combat rule.
Yep.
You know what, Vermin Swarms players? It is what we say it is, and you're grateful to hear it. All right, moving on.
Then we get to the artillery portion of this list. We got 2 dreadmills and 2 plague catapults.
Ah, yes, the artillery. Here it comes.
The dreadmills are good at killing big things. Our plague catapults are good at killing masked things. So he's got his bases covered.
I think, I mean, what do you really need to say about this? I think it's honestly a very good spread of shooting that you get, like you said, you've got something for the big stuff that you need multi-wounds against, and then you've got something for the infantry to blow them out. It's scary stuff.
He's got all the small units, which can take out the chaff and the smaller units of the opponents, and artillery and stuff doesn't have a great target beyond the characters and the dreadmills. And you're not going to get a ton of turns shooting because all these footpads and giant rats are going to be coming up the flanks. Like we said earlier, I mean, he's got something against everything. Now it's all about being able to bring the right thing to the right matchup. Otherwise, when stuff goes wrong, it's going to go really wrong.
All right, I think that's Omer Karat's Vermin Swarm. All right, next up we have Joel Flint and his Empire of Sonstal list. I really like the general. This is my favorite character. He's got a prelate who has some bound spell prayers that he can cast. There's 4 of them, I believe. 3 of them. I didn't look at
3,
it too much.
I believe.
He's got a 1-up armor save and discipline 9 with the Imperial Seal armor. His unit can never voluntarily flee as a charge reaction, though, so they'll hold. But when he's fighting in a duel, he swaps your stats. So he's
Strength, AP, resilience, agility, and attack value.
yeah, he's got 2 attacks. So whoever you're fighting him with now all of a sudden only has 2 attacks. This guy's got a great weapon, so you give him your strength and he adds 2 to it. And he gives you strength 4 and AP 1.
Yep.
And he also only gives you toughness 4.
Resilience 4.
Resilience 4.
Yep. And agility 4.
Yep. So it's a really fun item. Really fighty characters do not want to fight this guy.
Right. He's got a 1-up armor save.
He does not have, or he also has divine attacks, so your Aegises aren't as good against him.
And then if he's fighting a monster, he can go with a crush attack. He's got the potion of strength.
Yeah.
So the blessings. Aegis, 5-up against melee. Target gains flammable attacks, and everything in base to base with it, all enemies suffer d6 hits with strength 4 AP 1, flaming, and target must reroll failed 2 wound rolls with melee attacks. And those 3 are all bound spells with power level 4/8.
Yeah. Next up, we have his BSB. He's just a marshal, but he is a great tactician. That means he can give out 2 orders a turn. And orders are cool upgrades to units that get cast out at the beginning of the movement phase. They are fight an extra rank is
Yep. And then another one is target gains accurate, which doesn't suffer penalties for cover. Steady men, which is minimized roll for discipline tests. In addition, if you target a fleeing unit,
or unit that just rallied,
then they don't suffer from shaken, and they count essentially as fast cav. So they get they can move after they rally and shoot.
Yep.
And the last one is on the double. Target gains +1 advance rate and +4 march rate.
Right, helps get in position.
Yep.
And he's got a 1-up armor save as well, and causes fear. And he takes one of the army's 2 binding scrolls.
2? What the heck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
his wizard master also has a binding scroll. And Essence of the Free Mind, so he can choose his spells either between the path of alchemy or the path of cosmology.
That's nice, being able to customize at the start of a game.
And then he has got an adept with a book of +2 to cast the first time. And he has
On divination.
We have access to a good variety of spells.
Yep.
Combine
And then he's got one other bound spell from the Arcane Altar. So if you're doing quick math in your head, I believe that adds up to 10.
10 spells.
That's a great variety. You won't have the dice to get more than, what, 4 or 5 off a turn?
And a lot
max.
of them are situational, especially the prelates spells. Those ones are really only useful in close combat.
Right.
So.
But a lot of situational spells, but when the situation's right, they're really good.
Yep. Coming up, we've got 10 knights, 10 knightly orders.
Big unit.
1-up armor save, and lances.
Yep. Strength 6, AP 3. 1 attack each.
So, pretty straightforward. Then we got 2 units of light infantry.
1 of crossbowmen, 1 of handgunners.
Yep. It's pretty straightforward. Hard to go wrong with those guys.
Yep.
The state militia, he's got two small units of state militia, 10 strong. These are probably just chaff.
Yeah, but I mean, they
worth.
still got a bow and a pistol and
Yep.
paired weapons in combat. They're not
neat.
terrible.
Yeah. And then here's the Imperial Guard. This is a meaty unit. They've got just shields, though, so no great weapons.
Yep.
Brings them down to a 3-up save, however. This is going to be the target for an order every single round because it has a banner of unity. So when they get an order, they get to give an order to a
same order.
Unit.
Oh no, it doesn't have to be the same order.
No, it's just for free.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. And then you got the riders. They've got 2 units of 5. These guys have a brace of pistols. They have feigned flight, vanguard. They're the standard good shooting light cav chaff, I guess.
They're really good. They'll flee when they can, then rally, shoot you, flee again.
Yeah, I think when they charge, they also get to use they get to shoot with the pistols when they're charging. That's their fire on impact rule.
Gotcha.
And then we've got a cannon and a steam tank. And that rounds out the list with some more shooting.
Yep, and we kind of touched on it earlier, but the Arcane Altar has Perception of Strength from Cosmology.
Oh, yep, that's the...
+1 or -1 strength.
It also has Arcane Shield, which gives everything within 6 inches distracting, I believe. Yep. But yeah,
yes.
Overall, this list is take all comers. It's got a lot of magic. It's got medium amount of shooting and a small amount of combat, but the combat it has is pretty potent between the Knights and the Great Imperial Guard and the steam tank.
4 channels, which is nice, if I counted right. And that extra dice each turn is going to make a difference. He really lives and dies on the buffs. Because none of these units is really that threatening on its own.
Yeah, no great weapons on the Imperial Guard, so they don't hit that strongly. But if they're buffed properly, they'll hit pretty hard.
He's got all the different little units to charge in the flank and
control the battlefield.
Just the one big unit of cav that's the high strength and the cannon to take out the 2 cannons to take out monsters and stuff. I like it. A little more magic heavy than a lot of the Empire lists I've seen, but I think it'll work. I think he'll do fairly well.
Can't wait to see it on the table.
Joel Flint's Empire of Sonstal. All right, and next we have James Silva with Orcs and Goblins. We have a Iron Orc Warlord as the general, and I believe this is our 3rd Crown of the Wizard King.
That's right. It's a loved item, and for great reason. They have good taste, these players.
Oh my goodness.
Destiny's Call pushes him down to a 3-up armor, 4-up armor, and a 4-up ward. Yep. And he's got Touch of Greatness, combined with his Chopper rule, is pretty good. Pushes him to 4 attacks, Strength 7, AP 4.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty tasty.
Sure. Yeah.
Forest Goblin Chief, BSB. He's got the Mara Zappin bow, so I'm assuming he's going to be joining one of those bow units. And the Banner of Discipline, which makes him immune to panic. And then we have a Goblin Witch Doctor, a Wizard Master with a Binding Scroll on Pyromancy. So he's going to be blowing up some chaff. And the last character, Forest Goblin King on a Gargantula.
The Gargantula!
Yep.
Yeah.
Pushes the king pushes the spider up to discipline 8 with stubborn is pretty damn good. But he's got the shield breaker for AP 6 and dragon staff for some extra combat res against block units.
Yeah. Yeah. So zap and bow is pretty cool. Seems it gives your unit quick to fire. That's nice.
It is.
And Gargantula guy with a shield breaker sword, or it's a paired weapon, so he's got 5 attacks with that. And characters seem I like it. I mean, he's definitely looks like he's used most of the character points.
It's a bit. I don't know. Crown of the Wizard King. I hope it works for them. That people that take it, I really do.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I have the guts.
Well, I used to take it when it was more expensive. But the paths were better also.
Yeah, you became a level 2 wizard too.
Well, you weren't limited to just the level 1 spells.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's protein magic only now.
All right, what else does he have on this list besides characters?
Anyway.
Well, yeah,
just characters, nothing else.
But yeah, that's all we got, guys. Moving on. Anyway, well, for core, looking at 2 units of 20 goblins, forest goblins for one of them. They have the banner of the Relentless Company and a full command otherwise, I believe. Actually, no.
Just a standard bear.
Just a standard, yeah, and they're skirmishers. That's interesting. Cool.
They can. They don't have to.
Right. Oh, but are they not in this list?
If he's got 20 models, you may skirmish them. 20 models or less, you may skirmish them.
I think it says they are skirmish because it lists them here as hard target and light troops.
Yeah.
And skirmisher.
Yeah, so these are skirmishers. Okay, yeah. Right.
It's kind of an interesting thing. It's like he's also got bows on there and throwing weapons and poison and with the banner.
They can haul balls.
That's nifty. I like that. Poison attacks.
Am I missing it, or does this unit not have scoring?
No, it became once you give it skirmisher, it's not scoring anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I don't understand the banner of the Relentless Company, because I was thinking that this was going to be used to grab objectives last turn of the game.
Well, it's light troops, so it can march and shoot. So you can go 15-inch march and shoot with this unit now. It's just a way to kind of turn on the afterburners, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I like that. I think that's cool.
It's harder to kill with shooting too because of the hard target. So.
Yeah, they're hard targets.
That could be where the BSB goes too.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. The other goblins.
Force goblin.
Right. The other goblins are just bows of a musician. And
well, they also have light armor and shield, so they're what I call green guard. They have the 5-up armor save with parry, but they can also shoot.
There you go.
And
they're scoring, so that's great.
Instead of the Lothlorian Sea Guard, they're the Green Guard.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got some Feral Orc Edbashers. They've got a full command, a Mammoth Stabber, paired weapons obviously, and we've got the Green Tide Banner, which is going to give them the Fight an Extra Rank special roll. So
a few extra attacks.
You go 8 wide, everybody's fighting.
Right. Pretty much, yeah, it's pretty cool. Well,
you're losing.
Yeah. You could go 7 wide and get most of your attacks here. 7 wide, 4 deep. Keep your ranks and then still be attacking. Or no, you'd attack in 3 ranks in that case, actually. Sorry. Not elves.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how he has these formed up.
Yeah.
I'm expecting 7 or 6, but what's it really matter? Goblin Wolf Raiders, Fast Cav.
Fast Cav, Vanguard Shaft.
Yep.
Not much to
kept
say
them
there.
cheap.
Yep, just a roadblock.
A unit of 3 Goblin Wolf Chariots.
Interesting.
These have 3 or 4 HP.
I believe they have 4 HP.
Yep. 4.
HP 4.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
But only resilience
Mm.
4 with a 5-up armor.
Right.
Yeah, well, frickin' Reaver Chariots are the same, except they only have HP 3, so whatever.
Yeah, usually I use mine as like chaff if I need it, but this unit's too expensive to really use it as chaff.
Yeah.
But having 3 of them keeps their points better rather than running solos.
Well, I don't even. Can you run solos?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
It's just a different way to play them. I hope it works out.
Yeah, it's a nifty little unit. I think potentially has a lot of damage output for a small amount of points. And if it doesn't work out, you're not that upset. 300
Yeah.
points lost. Well, oh well.
Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I like this next unit, the Iron Orcs.
23
about it.
Iron Orcs plus the General, so 24.
Assuming the general goes in there, rounds it out to a nice 24.
Yep.
And they've got that interesting little banner, don't they?
One of the best banners in the game.
95 points.
Yeah. Mykonox Totem. Start of the round of combat. Choose a special item carried by a model in an enemy unit, which is in base contact with the bearer's unit. The chosen special item cannot be used during this round. So you basically just pick a model. Yeah, you pick an item. You're like, you can't use it if you're in base to base with my unit. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Now,
I mean,
I believe that even works to the rear or flank. Because
Oh, I'm
it doesn't
sure.
say to the front only, get rid of that magic
With the
item.
bearer's unit.
right, it's in base contact with the bearer's unit. Yeah.
One other thing that I don't know if this has been FAQ'd, but the way that it's currently reading, it doesn't turn it into a normal version. That weapon that item cannot be used. So you charge in with your magical lance, you cannot use the bonus strength from the lance either.
Just down to the hand weapon, huh?
It's
Yeah.
just a hand weapon.
It is worded differently than Tristan's Resolve, which says get rid of the enchantment specifically,
Right.
and you
Yep.
still have a mundane. This one says you can't even use the entire item.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not that
The
you
Warriors
get
of
rid
the
of.
Dark Gods one is the enchantment doesn't work also. So this one's different than that as well.
Yeah, I think because you basically just don't. It's not. It doesn't work. It's just that you can't use it.
Yep.
So, yeah, if it's like, well, if your enchanted weapon, if your enchanted item is a weapon, then well, you can't use that weapon now. Yep.
Does that mean that it also gets rid of armor? So if you have a magical plate armor,
What?
you lose the enchantment and the item. So it's minus your enchantment and minus your
Armor
3
value
armor
that
pips.
you get from plate mail.
Well, I mean, honestly, yeah, I would say so.
How
And this is
written, it's kind of weird.
It's going to come down to the judge's ruling at Mayhem. But if I were judging on this, I would rule in favor of. I believe I would rule in favor of the fact that the item cannot be used. Period.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it's worded. That makes that a lot better than I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, it's a hot little banner for sure. Most definitely. And then finally, to cap off this list, there's 6 cave trolls. They're pretty cool because they got a 4-up armor, as well as their Aegis, and they got magic resistance 3, so it's not so easy to cast it on them. That's cool.
Yeah. 4-up fortitude.
And they still throw up. They still got the auto hit, strength 5.
Gotta keep
cool.
near the general though, because that leadership 4 is gonna come back to bite you.
Discipline 4.
I think it's the only thing that still has stupid in the entire game.
Yeah. Well, if you're bringing
Don't
trolls,
quote me on that, but
if you're bringing trolls, you're pretty used to keeping them near your general.
You better be.
Yeah. Well, overall, definitely interesting list. I think it's got a lot of cool utilities. Different odds and ends kind of makes it well-rounded. I like the monster character guy, and I like the little skirmishing poison bow guys, and the, Iron Orcs and the Ed Bashers. I think it's all overall pretty good stuff. I don't know if it's the most competitive Orcs and Goblins list, but I think it's definitely a good list. I think it's probably a lot of fun to play, And I think among greenskin lists, it probably looks like it's kind of steady, like provides kind of, I don't know, consistent results potentially. If that makes sense.
All right, well, that's James Silva's Orcs and Goblins.
Okay, and next on the list is a very special list. Ogre Khan's list from my best bud in the world, Pablo Willink. His name's Willink because he's a tattoo artist. He will tattoo you. Get it, Willink? Awesome stuff. Anyway, rolling on, ladies and gentlemen. So he's got a shaman, magical heirloom for the hereditary, Liger's Tongue. So units in base contact with the bearer are at -1 attack value, to a minimum of 1. Obviously, can't go to a 0, but very powerful defensive item. Gut Rower gives him, it's a big name, gives him fear and channel. And then, so 1 more channel, so he channels 2. And he's a shaman. It's a shamanism. So he's got scarification going for him. And, yeah, I mean, just decent support character. That's the general. He's also got a Khan BSB. And the BSB here has got Iron Fist, Ogre Crossbow. He's got the Viper's Curse for his crossbow, which is to have 4 shots at Strength 4 AP2. And then the weapon has poison and magical attacks. And if it's the crossbow then loses its area attack, and then the attacks always hit on a 4+, no matter what. So that's cool. Okay, not a bad little weapon there. Good shooting weapon. It's got an Aether icon for MR1, and he's got the Banner of Discipline to be able to reroll Fail Panic. But since he's a BSB, it'll be auto-passing those panic checks.
Okay.
And the second most important thing is his BSB has an 18-inch range.
Right, because of the cult leader big name. That's pretty great. So yeah, and then moving on, we got the Mammoth Hunters, 2 of them. Both of them are pretty much kitted out in this sort of cowboy fashion. One of them has the Death Cheater, so giving him a total armor save of 3+, and then a 4-up Fortitude. And then he's got the Spin Splitter, which is a...
I think it's Spine Splitter.
Oh, it says SPIN, and
I know.
is that Spine Splitter?
I think it's a mistype on Army Builder, but
okay. Spin Splitter, whatever. We'll go with it. Anyway, he gets 1 attack, strength, and armor piercing on the charge, and those also affect his impact hits and stomps. So that's pretty sick. The other Mammoth Hunter's got the Wrestler's Belt, which gives him +2 armor to a total armor save of 2+, and +1 strength. And then he took the Troll Eater, big name, to give him a 4-up Fortitude, and multi-wounds 2 against large and infantry models. And both of these guys they've got the hunting spears, and they are, just single dudes running around being little, nuisances, for sure. I've played.
You have to hope that you don't bring any gigantic stuff, because these hunting spears will ruin your day.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely large stuff beware. He's got the 8 bruisers here with the Pennant of the Great Grass Sky that makes his unit have Swift Stride.
Everything in his list has Swift Stride, just about.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, granted,
the tribesmen.
The tribesmen and the 2 units of Bombardiers. Everything else, though, for sure. So going through core a little more, he has a unit of 8 saber-toothed tigers. You don't see that every day, honestly. I didn't know you could actually take that many in a unit.
I think you can go up to 16.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
That is to get 2 minimum core. He has exactly minimum core because of those guys.
I see. Okay. I mean, they've got 2 wounds each with resilience 4, 3 attacks, strength 4, AP1. I mean, per model, and for their size, they have a decent amount of attacks. I mean, some stuff, if they got in on it, they could hurt it. But no saves overall.
No,
makes,
but toughness 4 and 2 wounds apiece.
Yeah, hard to get.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
And a little correction: you can actually take up to 20 of them.
Could you imagine that? Can you imagine that unit?
How would that even look? 5 wide, 4 deep. What the heck is that?
More like
Anyway.
10 wide, 2 deep.
There you
Roar.
go. That's the secret.
Hear me roar.
Well, so he's got 2 solo ones as well. So a total of 10. But the 2 solo ones, those are his roadblocks. 2 units of 3 bombardiers. No musician or anything. So don't get behind. Hopefully you don't get behind. If anything gets behind him, he's in trouble. But otherwise, whatever.
Scoring, shooting, chaff.
Yeah, good.
It's
good
hard
stuff,
to beat those
185.
because they can have up to 18 shots for each unit.
Right. Well, overall, this list looks pretty weak. Wait a second. What do we have here? 2 thunder cannons and 2 scrapple bolts? My God. No. But yeah, so double thunder cannons, double scrapple. If you thought the fun was over, think again.
I deposited that check
Okay.
into our Wells Fargo account as an additional payment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Should we redo this one?
No, I can cut this out.
Oh, okay, good.
That's fine. Double thunder cannon, double scratapult.
Okay, yeah, so I'll continue. I'll pick off in just a sec. Just want the background noise to...
Beep.
Should we just wait for the background noise to stop a little bit? Or should we just go through it anyway? Okay, I think it's good. Okay, whatever. There we go. Okay.
And
So-
go.
Yeah, 2 thunder cannons, 2 scrapapults. This is a ogre ranged battery.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shooting. And
Easily
a
the
lot,
most we've seen so far.
yeah, and a lot of Death Starriness happening with those bruisers too.
Yeah, a solid unit for his characters to sit in. Really, this list is just a lot of... It's very MSU, and there's a lot of shooting for ogres. It's really funny. Honestly, this list strikes me as a list that's going to win big or it's going to lose big. It seems really well oriented to take on armies of large stuff. But I worry that against something that could potentially outshoot it, it might suffer from losing a couple cannons or a scrapapult. I don't know. It seems good, but I'm not sure I'm sold personally.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I think against a fast army, it might struggle too, because they can get right in on you.
Yeah.
Make your shooting not last as long.
Yeah, I think Kingdoms of Aquitaine would have something to say to this list. There's no Rocka Rocks. There are no Mournfang Cavalry or whatever they're called now. It's a lot of shooting. And honestly, if it's, for example, Cody, your list versus this, I think it would be lights out for the ogres. I mean, I just don't think 8 bruisers with these characters is going to stand up to your, for example, a big unit of knights with the impact hits, and I just don't see it happening,
No, but I mean, against that, you just throw the solo tigers in front of the big unit and just feed it stuff all day.
I guess
even if you're
Aquitaine
feeding
doesn't
it the
have-
big
yeah.
tigers or the bombardiers or the mammoth hunters.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? It's gonna have to feed fast armies.
Chaff.
It's gonna have to make
Yep.
sacrifices, and
And then hope
Yep,
the shooting
that's-
is good enough to
yep.
make it weak enough so when it hits you, It's not nearly strong enough. That's kind of that
Right.
plan for this list.
Yeah.
All right,
But-
so that's ogres.
Yep.
That-
Pablo.
Last little comment. It is Spine Splitter.
Okay, not Spin Splitter. Well, all right. Fair enough. Overall, the
All right.
overall strong list. Cool.
All right, starting us off with the Warriors of the Dark God list. This is Noah Dorsey. He's got a Doom Lord General. This guy is large infantry. Probably joins the Forsworn. He's got a Blessed Inscriptions Halberd. So he's 5 attacks, offensive 7, strength 6, AP 3 with 5 agility. Pretty good offensive stats, to be honest.
Divine attacks and reroll failed the wound rolls.
Yep. And he's also got Resilience 5, 4 hit points, and a 2-up armor save. That'll go down to a 3-up in close
Nope.
combat, right?
Nope, it stays at the 2-up because of Master of Destruction.
Oh,
That's
look
right.
at that. It keeps his 2-up save and his halberd.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Learn something new.
Warriors are OP. Nerf them.
Warriors are really, it can be really good.
Then he's got an Exalted Herald, 850 point customizable demon.
Yes.
That's also his Wizard Adept. So he'll have 3 spells.
Special rules, 3 spells.
He also has a Sorcerer Wizard Master on Occultism. This guy is on a War Dais, and he's built to also be a fighter hero with the Hero's Heart and Basalt Infusion. Gives him a 1-up armor, 3-up against Flaming Aegis. What was it, 4 attacks because it's paired weapons? Offensive 5, strength 4?
5.
5.
Yeah,
Yep.
strength 5 AP3 always.
Strength 5,
Yeah.
83 always.
Yes, he's turned his sorcerer into a bit of a fighter there.
Yeah, and it's also got the War Dice to add in the mounts attacks if he's in a challenge. You know, that
Yeah.
kind of
And Resilience 4 wounds.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's great.
War Dice is one of the best upgrades that you can give characters.
And for core, he's got a couple units of Fallen. 5 models each. These are pretty strong Chaffish type units, I'd say. They also have a lot of attacks if they get into something tasty. With 3 offensive, 5 strength, 4 AP1 attacks each
Yeah.
with paired weapons. So
Definitely some heavy set chaff, you know, those aren't gonna be the easiest to displace. You're gonna need something heavy to knock that out.
yeah, and they're quick. They're 6'12". They don't fly or anything like other chaff can, but this
They
one,
do have light troops, which means that they're super maneuverable for their 12-inch movement.
Then we've got 20 warriors of Sloth. That gives them resilience 5,
Yep.
which is kind of mean to go up against.
Yeah.
Conditional Resilience 5.
Yeah,
If they move beyond 10 inches, or if they declare a charge beyond 10 inches, then they lose that until the start of your opponent's combat phase.
right. And they'll also have a flaming standard for what that's worth.
Kill the trolls.
It's good against trolls. It's good against the druidism regen spell. Yeah. And anything
Help it
flammable.
and help us.
Help it upon yeah. I don't
Because we see so many of those.
And Tomb King characters.
Yep.
And
as long as they're
and
not
tree men.
terracotta.
And tree men, guys.
With all of our Sylvan Elf lists.
And any unit in a field a couple of editions ago.
Rounding up his special, we get into the Forsworn. These are more large infantry models. These got 2 small units of them of 3 each, and they have Damnation. So if they were to break from combat, instead of breaking, they're destroyed and replaced with spawn, essentially.
Yes.
Forsaken ones, small ones, Forsaken.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Sanity.
so either you want to kill all of them, or don't worry about them. Otherwise, they might pull off their damnation trick, which is kind of neat.
you're gonna summon Spawn, okay? So just don't do it, guys.
Yeah.
All right? Just listen. Just don't do it.
And I
Right.
don't believe characters can join units with Damnation.
Correct.
So these aren't a threat for the Doomlord to go in. What the Doomlord is going in is he's going in the bigger unit of Forsworn. There's 7 of them. And these have the Rending Banner and spiked shields.
Oh yeah.
And these guys are his Death Star equivalent. They're not going anywhere. They've got Bodyguard for the Doomlord. They've got spike shields and a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know spike shields, can be very, very good. I'm not going to explain the whole rule right here, but there may only be 7 of these models, but to get through them, it's gonna take a lot, and you might take some wounds on the way in.
Yeah. And then to round out the list, he's got a Forsaken one. Gigantic beast monster thing.
Yes.
Right.
It's a gigantic spawn. It's a
Yep.
mega
Yep.
spawn.
It's Mega Spawn. 3d6 random movement, d6 plus 3 random attacks. It's strength 6 AP 2. No, I'm reading that wrong.
They're not attacks though; they're grinding, so they auto hit.
Yeah, they auto hit.
Yeah.
So this. Yeah,
A
strength
d6
AP.
plus 3 grind, and then a
Mhm.
3d6 random moves. Right.
Yep.
It's unbreakable.
It is
Yeah, but
unbreakable with a 5-up fortitude and resilience 6 with 6 HP.
Right.
hmm And if you do manage to kill it before it gets to attack, guess what? It still gets to attack before it dies.
Yeah,
That's right.
so it's a fun monster. That's 400 points. It's up there.
It's
Yep.
it's the chaff that your wife doesn't want you to know about.
It's really good against like ambushers and stuff because of the random movement.
You thought
and
you,
it is a bear to deal with.
That
you
is.
thought spawns were good? Get out of here, kid. Make way for the mega spawn.
Yeah. So things that I like about this list, I really like the Exalted Herald. I think he's too expensive for what he does, but he does bring a lot of versatility. And the just warriors in general are very expensive. Forsworn with the Doomlord is a great combination. You see this unit quite often, not in every list because it's really player style. But I really like the list, but it could use a little bit of tweaking. We can just start towards the bottom and work our way up. Personally, I like the Spike Shield upgrade on the Damnation Forsworn. He doesn't have that, so those Forsworn only have a 3-up, and they do not have the Spike Shield bonus. The Rending Banner on the Forsworn, it's it's pretty good. It's not great, because they don't have very many attacks. For large infantry, these guys only have 2 attacks apiece. So the Rending Banner is not going to get as much use as you would expect.
Yeah.
The Warriors of Sloth, they have the Flaming Standard, but the Wizard is on Occultism instead of Alchemy, so it's not going to get as much use as it could. I really like the Sorcerer. All 3 of the Lord's lures that he can get are really good. I like the setup. It's a different way to get a combat character. He's also, as I mentioned, I don't know if this was mentioned, Veil Walker. He can use Veil tokens for some extra bonuses, which include extra range on a spell with Occultism. That's really great because Occultism is short range. In addition, you can get reroll to wound or force the opponent to reroll their armor saves on any wounds caused by spells. It's a really great upgrade with Occultism. But you can only discard 1 Veil token for 1 effect. You can't discard 2 Veil tokens and get 2 of those effects on a single spell.
Yeah.
Exalted Herald has massive options. If you don't know what he does, I'd suggest going and looking at the Warriors book just to look at that one guy. He can do so much different stuff, and I'm not going to go into that here. And then the Doomlord. Couple things on him is that he doesn't have the trophy rack, which lets his unit reroll any leadership test. So there's no BSB rule for warriors, but Hell Forged Armor gives reroll break tests. The Trophy Rack allows reroll of all tests for that one unit. In addition, he's not taking advantage of the 2-up armor save because he didn't give him the spike shield, so he's losing out on quite a few hits with that. But overall, besides those few little things, I think it's a great list. And while I'm saying that those things would be upgrades, they're not absolutely necessary. Personally, I probably would have dropped a couple things and picked up those upgrades on the Doomlord, but it's still a good list.
So, long story short, except for everything about the list, you think it's great. Okay, awesome. Moving on then. No. Well.
All right, well, yeah.
No, I agree with you. There are a lot of solid aspects to this list. I think there are parts of this list that need improvement, and I think that's just going to, I know Noah as a personal as a person, and I know that he's still working out warriors, and it's a newer army for him, so he's trying to figure it out. But I think honestly, there's a lot of potential here, and I definitely think it's like I said, there's a lot of strong aspects to this list.
And just because I'm super critical of it doesn't mean that it's not a good list. I just am also playing warriors, so.
Well, yeah. Warner, if you're not critical, there's something wrong in the universe.
There is that.
All right, that was Noah Dorsey's Warriors of the Dark Gods.
All right, and last but not least, this is Warner Hopkins' list. That's me. Warriors of the Dark Gods.
I think definitely least, but
definitely least. I might get last. Who knows? Starting off, we've got a chosen Lord of Sloth on a war dais. So he's got when he doesn't lose the Sloth resilience bonus, he's up at resilience 6. 4 hit points with a 1-up, and then a conditional 2-up against flaming, 4 wounds, so that's pretty nice, and a 1-time reroll on the armor save. And his one magic item that really makes him special is the Burning Portent, which is the big weapon.
Yeah.
So its AP 10 becomes magical, flaming, and has multiple wounds D3.
Yeah, this character is no joke. I mean, I played against Warner a few times, and I can say, for sure, this guy, don't mess with him, okay?
Yeah.
He'll beat you up. Take your lunch money. You're gonna be sad.
In addition, I've got the Trophy Rack, which allows his unit to reroll all leadership tests, not just break tests.
Right.
Yes, that's that guy. Next, I have another Chosen Lord. He's actually on foot with the Trophy Rack as well. He has
on foot quote.
Yeah, well, on foot quote. He has the spike shield. So whenever he makes an armor save on a 4-up, then he gets to return 1 hit back at your unit. That is strength 5, AP 2. Symbol of Slaughter, which is an interesting weapon. He gains +2 attacks, +2 agility, magical, but he is then +1 to be hit, which kind of combos with the spike shield. He has a 1-up armor save between Thrice Forged, Dusk Forged, and he can re-roll that 1-up armor save. And then he's got wings. So he flies 816 and light troops, swift stride. It's just pretty nice.
Stuff.
Yep. So he winds up with 7 attacks, strength 5, AP 2, agility 9 when he's being charged. When he's charging, he's up at 10. Then I've got a sorcerer, wizard master, alchemy, plate mail. So 4-up armor save, toughness 4, 3 wounds.
He's there to give you spells.
Indeed.
That's what he does. He's good at it.
Then we've got 20 Warriors of Sloth, same as that other Warriors list. Same build. I just take the Banner of Speed instead of the Flaming Banner. One of the biggest weaknesses of these Warriors is their movement 4-8. The Banner of Speed helps mitigate that, pushes it up to an 5-10. Next, we've got the little Barbarian Bunker Musician. This is where the sorcerer goes to hide.
Yeah.
Battle Shrine is an interesting model. It has a single spell, which it gets to choose from 3 different spells. It has the trophy rack, so it allows the unit that he's in to reroll any leadership test. Unfortunately, it can't benefit from the challenge bonus that the characters get, but this model is a war platform as well. And it just brings a big handful of rules for only 260 points.
Oh yeah, definitely solid. I love that model.
We've got the Forsworn, the small units with Damnation. I take the Spike Shield, which pushes them down to a 2-up armor save, and they have the reflect hits whenever they make an armor save on a 4-up. So I think the Spike Shields adds a ton to this unit. It makes them not break very often. They're great chaff. For 259 points, I think they're the best chaff in the game. The only drawback is that they're fairly slow.
Yeah,
they're
not very fast, but for chaff, it's if they get to be used how they want to be, it's tough to get through that. That's annoying.
Then we've got 5 Chosen Knights of Lust. Lust allows them to flee, even though Hellforged armor gives them Fearless. They gain the Feigned Flight special rules, and it gives them Strider as well. These guys are pretty dang good. 2-up armor save, Resilience 4, 3 wounds apiece. 3 attacks, Strength 5, AP 2, and then the beasties that they're riding, 2 attacks, Strength 5, AP 2, cost Fear. Overall, they're just pretty dang good. And then they've got the Wasteland Torch, which allows them to destroy a field or a forest and make that terrain feature ruins. That happens before deployment, and in addition to that, they get flaming attacks in the first round of every combat. Then to wrap up the list, we have the Hellmaw, which allows portals to be brought up. Then Warriors of Chaos models friendly Warriors of Chaos models can move into contact with one portal and pop out of another. So it benefits the slow units, which have a hard time getting across the board. And I start with 2 of those portals up at the start of the game. It's a pretty neat little list. It's very compact. It's pretty tough on certain elements. And I started playing it because of the Helma. I love the ability to bounce around the board with a bunch of different stuff. And I mean, what's better than suddenly being in your opponent's behind their entire army?
Yeah, those Chosen Knights can do some funky things between the portals and the Lust.
There are, in my opinion, much better marks that you can make them, but sometimes you just have to flee.
Yeah, no, I absolutely see what you're saying there. I think it's a great list, obviously. I mean, it's uncontestable. It's super powerful. Anyone who faces it will lose 20-0.
Not a chance.
And that's about all, that's about all I can really say.
This list will win the tournament. It's the last one reviewed, right? Save the best to last, obviously.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Yeah.
You guys are crazy. I hope to do well, but I really doubt that I'm going to do that well.
I think it's cool. The double cowboy slash support for the unit character. They're versatile in that either they can support a unit or they can charge out of the unit and get some damage done. I think it's cool. I love it. I think the Chosen Knights are a strong choice. This list, I think, has what I think I think you've got the tools. Like any list that's well built, you just got to use it well. But I think this is definitely, again,
it's by no means a auto win, but it's got a lot of different tools for a lot of different things. It's just making sure that I get it in the right spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it is auto win. I think you just win the game. You just
I show up. Hi, I'm Warner Hopkins. Congratulations, you win 20-0.
Isn't that what happens when you play Warriors? You just win? I don't know. No.
All
All right.
Does that wrap up all 26 lists?
That's all
God,
26.
We finally got through them all. My
All right.
God.
I'm excited to see these on the tables come this weekend. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, looking forward to playing.
Yep,
This
looking
is gonna be
forward
so
to
much
it.
fun.
See you all on Saturday.
Saturday. It's gonna be great.